Jets Media Hub, where we catch up with figures, community members and representatives around Queensland to promote everything local and bring you the latest news of what's on and what you can get involved with. Joining us this lovely morning is CEO of the Ipswich Jets and former member of Ipswich West, Wendt. Thanks for joining me today, Wayne.
Good morning, Tammy. It's my pleasure.
Excellent. Now, Wayne, as we've been chatting so far this morning, you're representing the Ipswich Jets today. Why don't you tell me a little bit about where the Jets fits within the community of Ipswich?
That's a good question, Tammy. The Ipswich Jets obviously are a rugby league club, but we obviously have I think a higher calling in some respects. The Ipswich Jets, we're the biggest team and the biggest, I suppose, sport in this whole region. So therefore I think we have a responsibility to lead the way in our community, not only in sport, but also off the field as well. And that's something we've strived for over the last 2.5 years since I've been involved. Fantastic.
Now, you were saying before that it's the club's 33rd year this year, is that right? 33 years?
That's correct, yes. I don't know how you remember that, but that's it's one of those things that since 1982 the Ipswich Jets became established. And since that time, we're yet to win an Intrust Super Cup Grand Final, but we've certainly won a couple of others. This year, at the moment, we're running second place. So, yeah, fingers crossed for a result maybe this year.
Cheering you on, absolutely. Now, with the history of the Jets, you've obviously, as you said, been established in the community for quite some period of time. The Jets obviously is a football team. You've got the football ground. How has that played a part in the Ipswich community, do you think, over the last, 33 odd decades?
What it does, it provides our elite young men and women to play football to the highest level that they can. There's a pathway in Ipswich, probably unlike a lot of other places. As I said, rugby league is proportionally played by more people in Ipswich than probably most communities throughout Queensland. So it is a really, really popular sport. And what we've tried to do, and certainly in the last 2.5 years since I've been involved, is to create a pathway so young people can start at 6 and 7 and play right through their junior clubs. If they desire to go into a senior club, and there's 7 of those in Ipswich at the moment.
Fantastic.
If they're good enough then to make a Jets side, we have an under-20s, a reserve grade and an Intrust Super Cup, our big boys.
Yep.
And if they're good enough from that to play the NRL, and we're related to the Brisbane Broncos, so we have an affiliation with them.
Great.
So that actually provides them with an opportunity for a pathway right from under-6s right through to the NRL.
That's fantastic.
Without having to leave home. So they can live in Springfield, they can live in Redbank, they can live in Lowood or Ipswich, and play all their footy at home and play in the NRL.
Oh, that's fantastic. Such a great, obviously, connection and pathway for those young people who really have those big dreams to play in the football. Now, you were saying before too about the connection of actually investing in the community. How does the Jets invest into the community of Ipswich on a wider scale rather than just sport related?
That's again a very good question. I mean, sport is one thing that we do obviously, but it's not the be all and end all. And when I came into the position a couple of years ago, what I said is we're not here to play rugby league, we're here actually to create events and support Ipswich. So we've had a real groundswell of support from not only the local community but a wider community, but specifically in areas like disability services. So we have a lot to do with the disability community. The Defence Force, we actually play Defence Force games and we support the Defence Force enormously.
Yeah.
We also have things like the Women in League round, which is early around the Mother's Day event, where we raise funds not only for Kim Walters but also domestic violence.
Oh, great.
And that's an important area that I think, particularly the young men that I have, and we have about 150 young men in our club, if they can lead throughout their community from issues like domestic violence, I think it's really important.
Absolutely.
Other aspects like the homeless and Indigenous relations. So we do things in regard to the homeless with the Salvation Army Red Shield appeal, and we'll be doing that shortly. But also on Sunday week, as the 5th of July, is our Indigenous Appreciation Round.
Great.
As you'd appreciate, the Indigenous community are widely represented in this community, and certainly within our club. We have a great tradition of that, and we think it's important that we can actually share that. And I suppose as major stakeholders in our community, to try and promote those events.
Yeah.
So that's what we're trying to do. It's not only about football, it's about our community.
It's brilliant. It's such a good, what's the word I'm looking for? Focus. Well, it's a great focus for the community to not just be focused on sport-orientated events, but rather looking to the wider community to support them in what you're doing. It's such a great, connection there and community involvement. Now, what is the future for the Jets? Where are you heading sort of in the next couple of years, over the next couple of months with different events that you've got coming on?
Well, certainly, as I mentioned, Sunday week is our Indigenous Appreciation Round. That's a smoke and alcohol-free event.
Great.
So, and there'll also be Indigenous health checks there, and there'll be a lot of supporters who come along. with recruiting and opportunities for after football. And that's something we take very seriously. In a couple of weeks' time after that, we've actually got the PNG Hunters.
Oh,
so obviously they play in our competition.
Yes.
We're expecting probably 5,000 people at that game. So it's an enormous day for us.
Yeah.
And then later in the season, of course, the last game of the year is always our old boys game, which should be a huge crowd.
Yep.
But it's been a really, really busy season so far. We have about 11 or 12 home games during the year.
Yep.
And about every second of those we try to make as a theme day, whether it's the Women's Day, the Disability Day, all those things. So it's a really busy time because we have a small staff and everybody's just flat out.
Absolutely. Well, on that point, how can people get involved?
It's pretty easy. It's funny, I get quite a few out of the way inquiries in regard to how can I help the Jets. And even though it's a sporting organisation, obviously it is a business first and foremost.
Absolutely.
So I have to make sure that we have all of the insurances and workers' compensation things in place. But certainly there is a place for volunteers in our organisation. Even USQ, of course, we have a great relationship with USQ. A lot of the young men and ladies from USQ have been coming along doing radio broadcasting, photography, filming and the like. And when they come along, obviously it's all on a volunteer basis, but it assists them with their career paths. So there's great opportunities for right across the park, whether it's in sport and rec particularly, event management, and we not only do we have great relationships with USQ, we also with Southern Queensland Institute of Technology. I think I got that right.
Those ones.
Yes, and University of Queensland.
Brilliant.
So we're doing a lot of work with those people.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, Wayne. And if you'd like to find out any more information about what's going on with the Jets, just a reminder that their next home game will be taking place on the 5th of July. But you can also check out their website, football.ipswichjets.com.au.